like a science lab that befits a school like Presec. So there are this category of schools that have benefited from the benevolence of institutions, NGOs, and other corporate bodies because maybe they would want to help them improve on their science and education. Then we have the last group of schools that do not have these kinds of resources at all. Now, if I want to take you back, you would remember that during the early days of late days of President Rawlings and early days of President Kufuor, there used to be a yellow bus that moved across various districts. And the purpose of that yellow bus, that science resource bus, was to carry students from some of these schools that do not have science labs to a more well-resourced schools for them to have their science lessons. So this practice has continued for a period of time. Now they don't even do that. And these schools still do not have these labs at all. So these are the categories of schools that we have when it comes to the science laboratories in our senior high schools. And with our objective as a country of improving science education across the secondary school level, you see that this is a very worrying trend.
Now, Frederick, you also happen to be a science teacher. But I'm curious about, how you think things compare now to, when you were in school, for example. Is it getting worse?
Actually, I would say nothing has really changed. But per the current trend that we are moving globally, I think we need to improve. Seriously, we need to improve.
How difficult does it make it for you to nurture students and get them excited about science and technology when there's really there's nothing to actually make it real for them?
Good. It becomes extremely difficult because one thing is that science is in two folds. We have the knowledge acquisition part, and then we have the application of the knowledge that you have acquired. Okay. Now, with the knowledge acquisition part is what we do in the classrooms, and then with the aid of certain audiovisuals and certain computer apparatus, we are able to link the lessons that we teach for our students to also have a clear understanding. Because we have three types of learners. We have the auditory learners, we have the visual learners, and then we have the kinesthetic learners. Normally, when you are teaching and then the student has a visual experience of what you are teaching, it becomes very easy. When you are teaching and then a student has a feel of what is going on, maybe he has to catch certain apparatus like the burette and the pipette and the rest, it makes learning very easy. But this is a situation that most schools do not have these apparatus. So it makes the teaching of concepts and then the ability for students to also create a mental picture of what you are really teaching or talking about, it becomes very, very difficult.
So what are some of the real challenges that you faced? I mean, I'm staying with you for this one, Frederick. What are some of the real challenges? Give me examples. Some of the things that you try to teach and then you find that in the absence of equipment, it's just not possible to get the students to visualize it.
Okay. Let me pick a particular topic in chemistry, which is periodic chemistry. Now, when you are dealing with periodic chemistry, there is an aspect that talks about the reactivities, how some of the elements react. Okay? Now, when you are dealing with these elements, you can talk of an element like lithium, sodium, potassium, and so on. You realize that theoretically, it is said that the reactivities of these elements increases as you go down the group. Okay? So now, it is up to the student to create a mental picture of what you are talking about. So if you have the samples of, let's say you have a lithium, then you can put lithium in water. Then the student will witness that the lithium is tarnishing with a certain rate. And then you would have to also do it with sodium. And then they compare the two rates, because rate talks about the time at which a chemical reaction works. Okay, so if we lack all those things, it makes teaching and learning very difficult.
All right, let's start looking to the future. And for you, Peter, what should be step one? I mean, we know that we have a government, we have a budget, a government that is constrained when it comes to budget. Quite a lot is already being spent on education. Free SHS is a huge cost item on the government's, budget. So, I mean, what should be step one of sort of turning around this situation and making science more practical for students?
All right. As my friend on the other line said, science is a practical subject. So it's important that the students have a feel of whatever the teacher is teaching. Now, what we need to do now is that we cannot ask government to put up laboratories across all the over 700 secondary schools that we have. That is practically impossible. So we should now go where the world is now turning into virtual labs. And in order to achieve that, we need to equip all our schools with at least one laptop, a projector, and then the software that contains all these kinds of elements that the teacher would have to now project it on a screen for the students to have a feel of whatever the teacher is teaching. Again, we need to train the teachers in order that they'll be able to do these simulations. The teacher will have to master the ability to do virtual simulations in a virtual lab. So we will need to train them. These are things we can do in the medium to short term. In the medium to short term, so that we'll be able to at least make the students have a feel of what they are learning. In the long term, we might want to go by a more centralized approach, whereby within a district, and I always talk about President Kufuor's plan of creating a model secondary school in a particular district. So within a particular district, we can zone our schools, whereby we will have one big lab with all the needed kind of resources that the students would need. And then the students can travel and then go to that lab and do their practicals, because it's going to be a bigger burden on the government's budget, as you indicated, for the government to provide labs for all these secondary schools. So this is what we need to do. In the immediate to short term, we need to provide every school with a projector, a working projector, and then we need to get them a laptop, and then we need to purchase the software that can be used to do the virtual lab thing and the simulations for the schools. I think this is something that the ministry can do within a few months, if not for procurement challenges that they would always cite. This can be done within a few months, because we've heard even the quiz mistress for the National Science and Maths quiz complaining bitterly that the students' ability to recall some of these things is there, but when it comes to the practical aspect of it, it becomes difficult. We are also in a time where the minister is talking more about STEM education, and we cannot be promoting STEM at the time where the practical aspect of the STEM education is not emphasized. So we need to do this as early as possible and keep our science teachers to be able to use these virtual labs and promote learning among the students. And this will ginger interest, and we hope that in the near future we'll have more people pursuing the science program at the tertiary level.
Well, let's hope you're right. I'm very grateful for your time with us. Thanks very much. And you have been hearing from our two guests. Mr. Peter Ntipati is the Executive Director of the Institute of Education Studies, IFEST, and Mr. Frederick Bafochi is the past President of the Ghana Students' Chemical Society. Super Morning Show continues after these.
What would you do if you have the choice to do anything in life? Build your dream house, take very good care of your family, and plan for a comfortable retirement. Plan a befitting funeral for your loved ones when they depart. How would you live if you knew there was a friend waiting to support you on all of your life's choices.
You have such a friend in Glyco Life Insurance. Glyco Life has all the plans to meet your life's needs. Your child's education, your life savings, your mortgage, funerals, redundancy, and your retirement, and takes the burden off your shoulders. So go ahead and live life to the fullest today with Glyco Life Insurance plans. And remember that all our policies are hedged against inflation. Talk to Glyco Life on 0302 218 500 or 246 142. Also visit our website at www.glycolife.com or any of our branches nationwide for more information.
Glycolife, we cushion you for life.
Glyco, we cushion you for life.
Wow, I just paid my taxes right now. Since they started this pay from anywhere, it has